Good morning, African Confessions. I am back with another episode. Apologies for not uploading in the past 3 days because I have been traveling. I am on the road, so apologies for that. But now I am back with another episode. There is a message that I received a couple of days ago. Then I had to ask one of our translators to give us a translation, and the translation of that message reads like this: Hello, my brother Nashi, how are you? I have a confession to make. It was in the year 2012, and unfortunately, even though I didn't want to do this, but I ended up running away. And the moment when I escaped from South Africa, I had money that I owed to some of the people that were working for me. This decision that I took, it was a decision that was so hard for me to take, but this was a matter between life and death. What happened to me, Brother Nashi, is that at that time, Brother Nashi, I was dating a married woman, and when her husband found out that I was the one who was dating his wife, he wanted to kill me, Brother Nashi. He wanted to shoot me, so I had no choice but to run away. At the time when that man caught me, he caught me red-handed. Me and his wife, we were sleeping without wearing any clothes in his bed, in his house, in his bedroom. It was a terrible experience, Brother Nashi. What happened is that I was a subcontractor for this other company. That company, it was busy building those RDP houses. So I got the subcontract in each and every tender that they could get from the government. They would take me to be their subcontractor. Then I would hire my own builders and some guys that were doing the roofings. Before I got this contract, Brother Nashi, I was someone who was just struggling in life. I was an engineer, but it seemed as if I had bad luck in my life. At that time, when I arrived in South Africa, I started working as an engineer for this other guy. He was a white guy, but he had a very small company. In that company, it was just struggling. Then I started doing my own side hustles. When I was doing those side hustles, that is when I met that woman. She is really a rich woman. She's there in South Africa, Brother Nashi. She usually do these things of tenders and stuff like that. When I met that woman, she wanted me to help her out with some plants. So I drew some plants for her at a very low price. After I had drew those plans for her, that is when she won a tender for those RDP houses. And once she won that government tender, she called me and she told me that she had been thinking about me since I was the one who had helped her out in the past with a lot of contracts that she was getting. And she wanted to repay me back by giving me this subcontract. When she gave me that subcontract, Brother Nashi, within 1 month, she had bought a very big car for me. At that time, she had bought for me a Toyota Hilux. It was a brand new car. And as someone who was coming out of poverty, maybe this whole thing really shocked me. Now I was able to stay in the estates, and now I had my own car. I had a lot of cars because on most occasions I would just go to her house or to the offices. Then I will take another car. I would even use her own car. She had this black Range Rover that she loved the most. She didn't mind if I would go and take her car. What happened, Brother Nashi, is that this whole thing of me being someone who was financially stable in life, it shocked me because what happened to me, Brother Nashi, is that there was on one occasion I was just driving. Then there was this beautiful woman. She was hitchhiking. I stopped for that woman. When I stopped to pick her up, I didn't have any intentions to propose love to her. But what happened is that when I was speaking with her, immediately I saw that she was acting as if me and her we were already dating. That is when I asked for her phone numbers. Within 1 second, she had already given me her phone numbers. She also asked for my phone numbers just in case if I had taken the wrong numbers. That is when I saw that women will love you if you have money. I started experimenting a lot. I was dating university students. I was dating a lot of women. Some of them I would meet with them in the mall, then I would just ask for their phone numbers. I don't know how many women I dated in South Africa. It's a lot, Brother Nashi. The reason why I dated a lot of women, it was because whenever that lady that I was working for as a subcontractor will get a contract, maybe in the villages, when I would go in that village with my team so that we can have a meeting. Sometimes we will start to have a meeting with the community leaders. Then the community leaders will introduce me to some of the villagers. And from the first meeting that we will have, I would immediately see that some of the women that will be there on our first meeting, the way that they will be looking at me, it will be a sign from those women showing me that already they are in love with me. Because everywhere I would go, I would make sure that I travel with a lot of money. And when I'll be doing those meetings with the community, I would pull out a large sum of money and I would ask them to buy some drinks just for refreshments and stuff. That is how I would trap all of these women. And whenever I would go into a new community, I would first look for the most beautiful woman in that community. I have a weakness for those women that are yellow bones. Those are the first women that I would target in that community. And the unfortunate part about me is that each and every woman that I'll be dating, I'll spoil her so much that most of these women, they will end up dumping their own husbands or their own boyfriends because I will be promising them that I want to marry them. But once I sleep with them twice or once and I'll just dump them, then I'll propose love to another woman when we will be working in a single community. What will happen is that in each and every community that we will be building all of these RDP houses or the clinics or the government schools, we will have our own site where our office will be. That is where most of these women would come because I had my own room, even though I was not staying at the site. If we were working in a place that will be like in a remote area, I would rather travel and book in a hotel. But when I'll be dating these women on that site, there will be my own room where I can sleep. I didn't share with anyone. I would take these women that I was dating in that community, then I will sleep with them in that room, or I would take them and go with them to the hotel and show them a lifestyle that they had never seen in their life before. This thing, my brother, would cause so much tension amongst all of those women that I'll be dating at that time. So many times that these women that I was dating in all of these communities will end up fighting, but they'll be fighting for nothing because all of these women, they didn't know that I'll be giving them false hope. So this woman that I was working for, the same one who was getting a lot of these government tenders, she had her own little sister. She was really a beautiful woman. But even though she was beautiful, and as someone that I was addicted to dating a lot of women, I had my own boundaries. The first boundary was that even though she was beautiful as she was a married woman and she was my sister's boss. I didn't want to mix business with pleasure, but I didn't know that she was already in love with me. What happened is that one day, me and her, we were speaking. But as we were talking, I just noticed that she was talking to me in a funny way. She was kind of like insulting me, but it was not a bad insult. She went on about me dating a lot of women. That is when I saw the opportunity that if I propose love to her, maybe she was going to accept my proposal. That is what happened, Brother Nashi. When I saw her funny attitude towards me, I proposed love to her, and in that moment, she told me that she loved me too. In fact, she told me that all that time when I started working for her sister, she had already fallen in love with me. And the reason why her sister had decided to give me that subcontract, it was because of her. She is the one who went to speak with her sister so that her sister can give me this subcontract because she wanted to be close to me and she was glad that I had finally proposed love to her. So me and her, Brother Nashi, we started dating. We dated Brother Nashi until she fell pregnant. And when she fell pregnant, the unfortunate part was that her husband was not around. And if she was going to keep this pregnancy, it was going to be suspicious because her husband was not at home for a very long time when she fell pregnant. Me and her, we decided that in order for us to continue with our relationship, what we had to do was that we had to abort that pregnancy. And when we reached that decision to abort her pregnancy, we continued with our relationship. Brother Nashi, me and that woman, we ended up traveling to Zimbabwe, but we didn't travel to Zimbabwe together. What happened is that I first went to Zimbabwe, then she followed me. And on the day that she followed me to Zimbabwe, I went and I fetched her at the airport. She was with her friend, and she had lied to her husband that she was going on a vacation and she was going to Zambia on this vacation, on this holiday vacation with her friend. Since they were rich people, she used to go on these vacations with her friend. So when she lied to her husband that she will be going on this vacation, her husband did not suspect anything. But the fact of the matter is that before she could go on her holiday vacation to Zambia, she first dropped off in Zimbabwe, and I went and I collected her. Me and her, we traveled back to our village, but we made sure that her friend did not see us together. Her friend was staying at another hotel. I don't know if these two people knew each other. Maybe her own friend had her own boyfriend because I never got that opportunity to go and speak with her. When I picked up this woman from the airport, me and her, we then traveled to our village so that I can introduce her to my own parents and to my people. And we also lied to my parents and my own people in the village that she was not a married woman. They were really happy that now they had gotten their own Makoti from South Africa, but they didn't know that their Makoti that they were celebrating, she was actually a married woman. After these celebrations were done, I traveled with her back to the capital city. Then she rejoined with her friend and they went on their vacation in Zambia. I don't know how her husband started suspecting because when me and that woman started dating, what we did is that we just went into the street because in South Africa you can actually buy those SIM cards. There are people that sell those SIM cards that are already registered. That is what me and that woman did. We went and we just bought a SIM card because we didn't want any connection. That is the SIM card that I was using. But I do not know how her husband managed to get hold of that number because even though I was using two phones, I made sure that no one saw that I was using two phones. Whenever I'll be at work, I would leave that phone. Whenever I'll be at work, I'll leave that phone hidden in my car so that people do not suspect. But one day, I just saw a message on WhatsApp, and on that WhatsApp, there was only one person that I would speak with. It was that woman, my boss's little sister, that one that I was dating at that time. That message, Brother Nashi, it was a death threat. That man just sent me a message and he said, I am going to put you 6 feet underground. and he had sent me an emoji of guns showing that if I continue doing this thing that I was doing, he was going to make sure that he will put me 6 feet underground. This was a death threat, Brother Nashi, but I did not listen. He wrote to me in Zulu. I have forgotten everything that he had written down, but it was just a death threat that he had given to me. I was supposed to stop dating his wife, but me and his wife, we were so much in love. But because of this death threat, one day I had a meeting with his wife, and I told her that it is better and it is in our best interest to stop this relationship, because now my life was at risk. Number one, I was in a foreign country, and now I was dating another man's wife, and we had a relationship, and I had a good relationship with these people. I didn't want this thing that we were doing to affect my job, because her sister was someone who was really good to me, and I was betraying her by destroying her little sister's marriage. But when I had a meeting with that man's wife, she totally denied the whole idea of us breaking up. In fact, she also gave me her own threats, and she just left me in that place where we were having that meeting. And when she left me, she just gave me a threat, and she said, everything that you are today, it is because of me. And if you say that you want to break up with me, then you have to know that I am going to take each and everything that my sister has given you, and you'll be left with nothing. You will go back to that position where my sister found you. You had nothing. And right now, if you say that you do not love me anymore, I want to resign from my sister's company. When she told me that she was going to take away each and everything that her sister had given me, I was really scared, Brother Nashi, because as someone who had came out of poverty, I didn't want to go back to that poverty lifestyle. Now I was enjoying life, going to bed without fear, without nothing, without even thinking on what I was going to eat tomorrow, because I had so much money. The company was paying for my rentals. The company was paying for all the diesel that I was using. It didn't matter if I wanted to travel from Gauteng, if I wanted to go into another province, the company will never ask how much fuel I was using. That is why I was dating all of these women, because I had so much money. But on that day, my boss's little sister, she had threatened to take away all of those things that she had claimed that she is the one who had made it possible for me to live a wealthy lifestyle. So I had no choice. I continued dating that woman, but I was really scared. But I do not know how her husband managed to trace me. How did he manage to know that I was the one who was dating his wife? Because when we were dating each other, we made sure that whenever I'll be at the office, we will pretend as if we didn't even like each other. A husband sometimes would come at the office with his wife that I was dating, and we will pretend and we will ignore each other even though we were sleeping together. But I do not know how her husband managed to trace us. He tracked me down, Brother Nashi, and he lied to his wife that he was traveling. So me and his wife, we then planned that I was supposed to go to their house so that we can have a good time together. On that day, Brother Nashi, when I was caught red-handed in that man's bedroom, we were in bed even though we were not making love, but we had just finished making love. Me and that man's wife, we were both naked. That is when I heard outside that there was a gunshot. By the time that I tried to wake up and wear my clothes, that man, he was already in his bedroom. I shocked so much, Brother Nashi, because I knew that on this day I was going to die. He was really angry and he was screaming at me. He started beating me up and he dragged me outside. When I saw that he was dragging me outside, I said, at least if these people are going to kill me, They should kill me when I am wearing my clothes, not to drag me around the community when I am naked. So what I did, Brother Nashi, is that I managed to grab some of my few clothes, and those men, they dragged me outside. When that man dragged me outside, I saw that outside of his yard there were some taxi drivers, and they were ready to take my life. What those men did is that one of that taxi driver, he took a rope, Brother Nashi, then he tied my hands, and they tied that rope to the towing bar. Then that taxi driver, he started driving. He was not driving really fast, but you know that you cannot keep up with a car. Even if I would fall down, he continued driving. I cried so much because I wanted the community to help me, but there was no one who wanted to assist me. Lucky enough, this thing, Brother Nashi, it happened during the night. Maybe if this thing had happened during the daytime, maybe these people were going to take my life. After they had pulled me with that taxi, then they took me to another house. They started beating me. They beat me so much that I forgot the place where I was. When they saw that they had beaten me up, they threw me into another taxi. Then they started driving the taxi. When I was inside that taxi, even though I could not see properly, but I could feel that this taxi and the other cars that were following behind, all of them, they were going up a mountain. And once we were in that mountain, they pulled me out of that taxi. They continued beating me up. There was one man who saved my life. If it was not for that man, those taxi drivers, they wanted to shoot me in the head. But one of them, he said, no, we have beaten him enough. Let us leave him here to die in this mountain. That is how I survived, Brother Nashi. Before they climbed down the mountain, those taxi drivers said to me, we have your picture, and if you continue living in this area, we are going to kill you. And I saw that those men, they meant business because they all had guns. They left me in that mountain, and I want to thank God that when they left me in that mountain, I was alive. And at that time, when that man whom I was dating, his wife, when he dragged me out of his house, I managed to grab my clothes, and when I managed to take my clothes along with me, I had my phone in my pockets. Those men did not even search me to see if I had anything. When they left me in that mountain, I took my phone. Then I called one of my workers. He was my foreman. That guy, he knew everything, but he didn't know anything about the relationship that I had with my boss's younger sister. I called him and I told him that I was in such and such a location. I told him that he had to hire a car so that he can come and pick me up. He came and he picked me up. And when he looked at me, and when I told him that I was on my way to Zimbabwe, he said, you cannot travel like this, boss, but we can go into another area where his own brother was staying. He was staying in another province. So we went there, and when we went there, I told him that the plan was for me to run away because those men had threatened me that if I was going to remain in that same area, they were going to kill me. And I told him that if he assisted me, once the money would have reflected into my bank account, I was going to give him all of the money that I was supposed to give my own employees. Brother Nashi, this is what I did. I never wanted to run away with money that I was owing to my own employees, but I was left with no choice. Once the money had reflected into my bank account, the money that I was supposed to pay my employees, I ran away, Brother Nashi. Until this day, I've never returned back to South Africa because those taxi drivers threatened me. They said that they will make sure that each and every taxi association in South Africa has my own picture. This is what happened to me, Brother Nashi. Never date a married woman.